Hi everyone, greetings from Narayan Rudayalaya, Bangalore. Myself, Dr. Harish Mallapura Maheshwarappa. In another 15 minutes, we'll discuss ultrasound guided central line catheterization, central line insertion, the technical aspects. First of all, we need to understand why we need to insert a central line. So basically, when we are not able to get a peripheral venous access for giving any sort of intravenous medication, for the purpose of central venous pressure monitoring with its pros and cons, will not go in depth into it, but it is one of the indication. So for the purpose of renal replacement therapy, transvenous pacing, so when we need to infuse some irritant drugs like calcium chloride, potassium chloride for the purpose of chemotherapy, total parenteral nutrition, nowadays we have peripheral TPN also when the osmolarity is less than 800, 850 milliosmoles. But if it is more than 850, 900, then we need a central line to infuse the vasoactive agents, particularly catecholamines, synthetic catecholamines like norepinephrine, epinephrine, because if it get like extravasated, which leads to skin necrosis and all. So basically we need to infuse at the higher dosage through the central line. So next, like why ultrasound guidance is required. So traditionally we know that if you follow blind technique of insertion of the central venous catheterization, mechanical complication rate is around 15%. So the insertion unsuccessful is going to happen in about 12 to 15% without ultrasound. Nowadays, ultrasound is a standard of care, standard practice across all tertiary care center, whether it is an intensive care unit or a perioperative recovery unit. So we have lots of advantages. We need to use the ultrasound to get all those advantages, increase the success rate, avoid the complications, reduce the time which is needed for the cannulation. So reduce the number of attempts. So lesser the number of attempts, so less punctures which are going to cause arterial or that of the venous puncture and all, less chance of like central line associated bloodstream infection or central line related bloodstream infection. So ultimately, overall, it's going to be safer. When we speak about the mechanical complications, we know that pneumothorax, arterial puncture, hematoma, malposition. So these are the mechanical complications which may happen more frequently with the blind technology as compared to that of the ultrasound technology. So how exactly we can do this one? So basically we need appropriate preparation. So selection of the catheter set, which have a catheterization needle, vessel dilator, proper catheter, guide wire, and a scalpel, so suture material. So all these things should be included, and we need to follow all CRBSI bundle or CLABSI bundle, means appropriate selection of the site. So less infection is with the subclavian, next is the IJV, least like preferred is the femoral with the highest chance of infection, and complete drape. Wherever we use Seldinger technique, guide wire technique, we need to drape the like patient thoroughly, and like along with that chlorhexidine alcohol based like skin preparation, proper hand hygiene. So after the purpose is served, we need to take out of the central line also. These are the bundle care approach. Next is the selection of the ultrasound probe. So we need to choose the linear probe or that of the vascular probe, which is having a frequency in between 5 to 10 to 12 megahertz. So which helps in locating the vein, ensuring the patency of the vein, and then we need to go for the puncture, which helps in giving an real-time visualization of the needle tip, so which prevent the mechanical complications like pneumothorax and arterial puncture. But after the procedure, we need to confirm the tip positioning with the X-ray, and also sometimes catheter can still go in a wrong direction, that we can confirm with the chest X-ray. If the backflow is very good, so then we can start infusing without waiting for the chest X-ray if it is an ultrasound guided. So how we can have an image interpretation? We need to understand low density objects like blood vessel, which appears as black, high density objects like bone, which appears white, medium density object, which is a muscle, which appears as a gray. So identification of the vein from that of the artery, how we can differentiate. Vein is compressible, thin and irregular walled as compared to artery, so non-pulsatile. But sometimes internal jugular vein have some triphasic wave. This is the transmitted pulsation from the carotid. So it varies with the respiration. The diameter of the vein should be varied with the respiration. So sometimes in an severe hypovolumic patient, that respiratory variation can get exaggerated. So this is the femoral vein, femoral artery, femoral vein, so which get collapsed after having a compression. So this is the right IJV, right carotid artery. After compression, so vein get totally compressed. So both appear black. So there is no movement of the pulsatility in the vein. So compressibility is for the vein. So the flow on the Doppler signal is going to be constant flow, and it is augmentable in relation to respiratory changes, but it is a pulsatile flow in the artery. So again, we narrow down to our discussion for the cannulation of the IJV using the ultrasound. So it's the internal jugular vein. So carotid artery. So always the common carotid artery is going to be medial to that of the internal jugular vein on both the side. So next thing, so this is how after you put the probe of the ultrasound, the vein and that of the artery in the right side of the neck, it looks. So basically internal jugular vein is collapsed on pressure, so carotid remains the same. So we need to understand there is something called orientation. We have transverse orientation, longitudinal orientation. So in the transverse orientation, so like we put the probe, so the rays pass through the vessel perpendicularly. The vein looks like this. In the longitudinal like orientation, we are able to see the posterior wall of the vein also. So less chance of the perforation of the posterior wall in the longitudinal orientation. So this is the like needle which we can see in the transverse orientation. So this is the longitudinal orientation. So we can see the posterior wall of the vessel also. So we have two main techniques. So there is something called static technique. There is something called dynamic or the real, which is the most commonly used. In the static technique, so we position the patient and we use the ultrasound probe to mark the vessel, and after that we'll not use continuously the ultrasound probe. So less chance of hand like positioning related complications and all. So it is sterile because we are not using the continuation of this ultrasound probe. So but the problem is it is not real time. So when it comes to dynamic approach, which is a real time cannulation of the like vein, so basically throughout the procedure we are going to see where is the needle, where is the guide wire, where is the catheter and all. So we use the sterile sleeve over the probe to create a utmost sterile procedure. So initially we might require two people when we are getting adequate training and all. After that, even a single person can put this. So overall it is a better technique. It's since it is a real and continuation procedure with a live technology. So first we need to position the patient in a supine position in a comfortable way. Place the probe on the neck in a transverse orientation, sweep the area so that identify the different structure. So vessel should be kept in the middle of the probe, so in the middle of the screen. So next, in the first look itself, we need to identify the presence of vessel, that is the artery and that of the vein. Its patency exclude, there is no thrombus present. If the size is less than 5 millimeter, bit difficulty which may happen practically for the insertion and all. So localize the anatomy and all. So understand all those relationships also. So then in the dynamic real-time approach, so remember the sterility is very, very important. So set up the sterile tray and place the sleeves which we use over the probe in the preparation phase itself. First put the gel on the probe. So then the sterile sheath over the probe, again a sterile gel on the sheath we need to put. So this is how we put like a jelly on the probe directly, and this is the sheath. So sheath over the probe, again we put a sterile jelly on the like probe which already covered with the sheath. So basically this sleeve with the probe with the jelly is ready. So basically this is how the ultrasound probe we keep transverse orientation. There's a needle entering. Once the needle enters, we see something like a ring down artifact, which is due to the needle penetration into the vein. So vessel get deformed once we put the pressure. So observe the needle entering the vein and watch for the back wall perforation. So this we can see in the longitudinal orientation. So basically we can get some idea about the distance from the skin to that of the vein, which is almost 1.2 to 1.5 centimeter. This is the right internal jugular vein depth from the top of the skin. So then there's the vein, there's the artery. This is the needle which is entering into the vein. So once we done with inserting the needle with a syringe, so confirm the blood flow freely with the backflow by aspirating with the syringe. So once the free flow is there, remove the syringe, disconnect the syringe. So then you pass the guide wire. So this is how we can identify the guide wire which is entering into the IJV. So this is the longitudinal view. This is the transverse orientation. This is the guide wire which we can make out using the ultrasound. So then again, remove the needle, keep the guide wire intact inside too. So then pass this dilator, which is provided with the set. So we can use 11 number blade also to have some initial nick to make the dilatation easy, but you have to be very careful, which should not continue to bleed even after finishing the procedure and all. Once we dilate it, take out this plastic PVC dilator. So then you pass the catheter over the guide wire. So this is how we can see the guide, means like catheter inside the vein in the longitudinal orientation. So this covers the entire procedure. So basically in the ultrasound, we can first make sure before puncture the orientation between the vein and that of the artery. This is the vein in longitudinal view. So needle enters into the vein. So again, this is the guide wire which is entering, which we can see in the longitudinal orientation. So this is the final catheterization. So all these things we can make out using the ultrasound from puncture to that of the final catheter insertion. So we follow 6-step approach for ultrasound guided central venous catheter placement. So first, identify the anatomy of insertion site and localization of the vein, differentiate it from the artery, confirm the patency of the vein with a Doppler. There should not be any sort of like thrombus and all. Use real-time ultrasound guidance for the puncture of the vein. So confirm it by using both the transverse and that of the longitudinal orientation. Next, confirm the needle position again with both the orientation. So like remove the syringe, like pass the guide wire. Again, we can confirm the guide wire using the ultrasound. Once guide wire is inside too, so then take out the needle. So then again pass the catheter over the guide wire. So fix it with a suture and attach the extension line appropriately for a particular patient. So this completes the technology which we can follow to insert a central venous catheter using an ultrasound machine. Thank you all. Stay safe.